everyone. We are live. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Friday, the 8th of January, 2021. 2021. Stop saying 2020, Gail. That's what I got to do. So good to see you all. We got a few of our friends here already. Welcome to the room. Let me just start by saying it's Fun Friday. So grab a joke, grab a dog, do something. We're going to do something flippant this morning.
It's Friday.
And I see David's here, so he's got to have something to tickle our ribs with a little bit. But I see so many of my friends here. Thank you for being a part of this mission. And whether you tune into this live or you get the recordings, these are some of my favorite people that are on the screen right here. On planet Earth in the Milky Way galaxy. At least that's what we call it. I don't know what people from other galaxies call our galaxy. But anyway, welcome to our mastermind. Once again, I'm John Lavenia, and I've got a couple ideas that I want to share with you. But before I do, I want to open it up. I see Julia's unmuted. Julia, you got a joke or something for us today?
Oh gosh, I wasn't expecting to be put on. I only know really old jokes, and they're all stupid, and I can't remember half of them. Yeah. So I'll let somebody else entertain us.
I grew up on the streets of New Jersey, so I know some jokes that have been around for a while, but they're not appropriate to say here on the interwebs with a
I have an appropriate audience. Joke, John.
So. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
So why are there fish at the bottom of the ocean?
I don't know.
Because they dropped out of school.
They dropped out of school.
Nice.
Damn. There's that. Sonia, you got something for us?
Sure. Let me think.
Nice art, by the way.
Thank you. My daughter draws.
Yeah, apparently she does. Look at that.
Yeah, she's very talented. What do you call a pig that does karate?
I don't know.
A pork chop.
Oh, okay. Very good. Now, Sonia, do you have any animals in your habitat over there?
No, not currently.
No? Okay. I was wondering about that. I don't know that you've ever presented us with an animal.
No, I have not. I'm usually a cat person, but until I get a house, I'm not going to get a pet.
Fantastic. Hey, David. David's got the floor, ladies and gentlemen.
This is a Christmas card I got. I don't know whether you can see that. It's
back off just a little bit.
Santa being interviewed by a reindeer, and the reindeer is saying, "I'm sorry, Mr. Claus, we have a no beards policy."
There you go. So I guess that's something that you sent out, or that somebody sent to you?
Somebody sent to me, and with the fun I've had with recruiters over the last couple of years, I laughed till I fell off my chair when I saw that one.
Right. David, I'm so glad to see you, brother. So glad to see you. We got Sharon. Sharon's unmuted.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm only here today because we have a snow day.
Oh, congratulations.
I think I've seen a total of maybe 41 or 42 snowflakes. So the joke of the day is, what time is it when you see white snowflakes falling outside the classroom window?
I don't know.
It's snow and tell.
Snow and tell. Mm-hmm. There you go. So the kids, I'm sure, are happy about that. Where is it snowing right now for you?
Well, it's not snowing in South Carolina, but it's close.
Ah, okay.
Close enough.
So isn't that interesting? We've got people who, tiny little bit of snow closes the school, right? And other people where, if it's less than 2 feet, just deal with it. So in fact, that's interesting to me also. Any other jokes before we get into it here today?
I could do one more.
Come on, Sonia.
Why did the Clydesdale give the pony a drink of water?
I don't know.
Because he's just a little horse.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. I remember there was another joke, something about the Amish flu, a little horse and a little buggy, something like that. I don't know if anybody's ever heard that. I don't know. Maybe that was the punchline. All right. So I appreciate this. I appreciate, people like David and Sharon and Julia and everyone you've just seen on the screen and everyone who participates in these talks, because I had a consideration this week about all the different things that we're engaged in terms of business and life, right? Let's just call it life, because business is part of life. and whatever you're doing to support yourself, your family, earn a living, create a lifestyle, create wealth, right? Whatever you're doing towards those ends, I have found is enhanced in my own life by personal development in a broad sense. So since we're dealing with life and we're pointing our lives at whatever direction, whatever goals, whatever intentions that we're pointing our lives at, it's a pretty good idea to, as Steve Covey says, sharpen the saw, which is the 7th habit of highly effective people. We're not on that chapter yet, but we are reading that book currently in our book club. Tremendous book. And I was thinking about the alternative to that. Like, what if I'm not consistent? Here's what's coming up for me today. What if I'm not consistent with my personal development? What if I don't show up in my mastermind group, right, to get my batteries recharged, right? Well, think about any battery, I guess would be a good metaphor, right? Think about a battery, right? You go ahead and deplete the charge on the battery, and then what? You can't get the work out of it. And so that reminded me that when I feel good, I do good. When I'm emotionally up, my stats are up. I don't know if any of you assess such things. You take a look at, did I have a good day? Let's say somebody asks you, did you have a good day? My wife asks me this all the time. How was your day? And a lot of days I'll say, good, productive, got this done, got that done. I feel good and I did good. Other days she'll ask me, how was my day? And I'll say, yeah, it's over. Overwhelming, not as productive as I would have liked. And you notice the emotional state of that, or the, sort of the tone of that, right, statement is different than the one where I'm, appreciating all the production and all the high integrity stuff that I did. And I look at the rate at which some of us feel like we've got to take action. So speed, right? We're in a marketplace. We're in an environment now with the internet and everything else. We got a lot of people engaged in e-commerce in various forms and other businesses as well. And the demands that we could perceive that are being placed on us, like we got to get so much done in so little time. Does anybody else relate to this, or is it just me? There's so much to do in so little time. That's how it seems. And so the idea of overwhelm can come in. And this is Fun Friday, so I'm attempting to keep this light. Okay, so don't fall into this. Don't adopt this for yourself, okay? But you can observe where this did occur in your life at times, right? The experience of overwhelm. And then I think about how do I overcome that and remain productive, and at the end of my day, have a win, have something where I can look back and say, I behaved in a way that was productive and admirable, and I feel good about myself. Because that's really what it comes down to, is keeping my batteries charged, feeling good about myself in the face of whatever demands are being placed upon me. And remembering that, if I don't have me, if I don't have my batteries charged, well, then I could be really overwhelmed. I could be busy, but there's a difference between doing business and just busyness, right? There's a difference between this came up in conversation earlier this week, right? I think it was possibly Ivier was mentioning where, how are you? Oh, I'm just so busy. I'm so busy. And that's kind of like a badge that people wear. Actually, that's a badge that I could wear if I'm feeling not so good about myself, because now my attention's fixated on all the stuff that isn't done, all the stuff that I want to or intend to do, or I think I should do, right? Or the results I didn't get yet, or having missed the mark, right? The imperfections of life and of my performance and everything else. And if I'm focusing on those things, it's easy for me to retort when considering how my day's going and just, I am so busy. And I'm busy, but is that the main focus in my life? You guys remember, we've talked about affirmation, autosuggestion. We've talked about the inner dialogue, which is revealed by the outer dialogue. How are you? Oh, I'm so busy. Okay. So that's revealing. That outer dialogue is revealing of the inner dialogue. I'm not getting done what I want to get done. That's what that says. I don't have time. That's an affirmation, by the way. I don't have time. Is that a good affirmation? Probably not. What would be the opposite of that affirmation? We get clarity through contrast. right? There's, we saw on Sonia's wall art, right? And it had different shades of black and white and gray, right? But the contrast between the black and the white is so much more obvious than the shades of gray. And so can I look at that which I'm affirming to myself, and if it's not pleasing me, and if it's not raising me up in terms of my own emotional state, can I look at the opposite of that in contrast, and have some clarity about what would be the opposite of I have no time? What would be the opposite? I have plenty of time. I have plenty of time. I choose to do these actions right now because I've prioritized those. Or I can just as equally look and say, with my plenty of time, I've chosen to squander that time on things that are priorities. And what's one of the precepts of the book that we're reading right now is to put first things first, that which matters most must not be at the mercy of that which matters least, lest we get stuck in the thick of thin things. The thick of thin things. And so I think a lot of times when I look at all the inputs, all the things coming in, all the demands being made on our time, on our attention, right? I can look at that impingement as an opportunity to accept or reject the idea of getting off course, of changing my priorities, or allowing others to change them for me. I've often said my inbox is everyone else's agenda for me today. Everyone else's agenda for me. I've recently gone on an unsubscribe spree, right? Like every email that I get that I'm not going to want to continue to get, whether they honor the unsubscribe request or not. But you know how you get on one list and then you're on 50 lists and then you're on 500 lists, right? So I'm like an unsubscribe maniac. And that was kind of like an end of the year ceremony for me. And guess what happened? I get less impingement on that. I know we've been talking about social media. Shannon talked about social media last night with her brand builder. For those of you who are full-blown members here, you've got access to the full archive of recordings from Shannon and Adrian and Stuart and Therese and Ego and everyone. You've got at least $100,000 worth of wisdom there that you can go and access at will. And it grows every day. It grew this morning, 3-4 hours ago. Ego did Tech Talk, right? I got to post the recording of that. But there's so much on purpose stuff that you could put your attention on. And I could tell you, and I mentioned it, I think earlier this week, one of the surest ways to charge my batteries and to increase my own self-esteem is to learn something new each day. To learn something new each day helps me feel good about myself. And what did I say before? I feel good. I do good. I do good. Suddenly life is more of an easy flowing experience, not so much, the pressure and overwhelm of I've got to do more. I've got to, or I didn't, but I have to, but I can't, but I have to, right? That is psychotic. Brian Tracy talked about this in his classic recording, the Psychology of Achievement, right? A lot of us have grown up with these I can'ts or these I have tos, but the worst is combining them. I can't, but I have to. Holy crap, man. Whoa. Can we hit the reset button? I argue that we have to hit the reset button multiple times a day. So if in this conversation right here that we're having right now, I'm hitting the reset button because I'm affirming, right? The outer dialogue reveals the inner dialogue. I'm affirming that which I know about myself and how life works and how we can all individually and collectively create so much more benefit for ourselves and our fellow man, right, in less time. And that's the main consideration. When I think about prioritizing, and I think about what am I going to choose to spend my time on, because I only have so much, right? Well, what's going to cause the most benefit for the most amount of people in the least amount of time? Great question. Fantastic question. And sometimes there's deferred gratification, of course, right? We plant seeds here. That doesn't mean we have harvest right now, okay? But that's a good and prudent thing to do, is plant seeds, right? Sowing of seeds. This is something we do in various ways throughout our business. And if you're an actual farmer, then you literally do it. You literally sow seeds, okay? Is that a high integrity action? Is that something that will produce more good for more people in less time? Of course it is. So you do it. But it's not like, because you did it 15 seconds later, we're all eating corn. No, everything has a gestation or incubation period, everything. So I think one of the causes of possible overwhelm or feeling like you're insufficient is perhaps unrealistic expectations, the desire for instant gratification, the idea that somehow what the seeds you've planted today aren't sufficient, aren't enough. But as intelligent people, which I believe we all are, I would argue for any of you that you are, if you're in this conversation, you're way, way more resourceful in your use of thought than a lot of people who could be in this conversation, but are only focused or fixated on instant gratification type considerations in their life. Here's the point where I'm going with all this is that I'm way more productive when I'm not desperate for production. Desperation works for dependent, weak creatures. My dog, okay, since it's Fun Friday, many of you have met my dog Butch. He's a little Chihuahua. He had some sort of an injury. His back legs don't work so good. He has to wear a diaper because he pees all over himself. Anyway, that's my dog. And when he wants a treat or he wants to come upstairs and be close to mom and dad or whatever, all right, he's all desperate. He shivers and shakes like a Chihuahua. You guys ever see a Chihuahua shake? They get all jittery and stuff. It's like, hey man, why so desperate? I could just be sitting there eating some food and he's like, like, dude, relax. I will let you lick the plate. And he knows he's going to get the plate, but still he's so damn desperate, right? Is that how we show up in life? Or is that how we show up to ourselves, whether we vocalize it or not, all right? So damn desperate. I think that we're powerful beyond our own recognition. And so this whole idea of personal development in a broad sense, this idea of charging the batteries, the idea of showing up in uplifting conversation and books and masterminding and receiving good counsel, study, right? Learning new stuff every day, all of that. The main point of all of that is that we change our filters. If we're dealing with reality, okay, if we're dealing with the world as it is, our perception and our response to that, remember Steve Covey's first habit of highly effective people, be proactive, right? Between stimulus and response, we have the ability to choose. He was citing Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, right? Here's a guy, concentration camps, all this, right? Circumstances, right? Worst circumstances, okay? But between the input and the response, the output is the self-determinism, yes, the ability to choose a response rather than just be reactive, the ability to choose a response. There's a gap between stimulus and response. What do we do in that gap, and are we aware of it? And I think the more I work on me, the more I have a choice of filters. Because as the old saying goes, reality isn't as it is, it's as you are, right? So I have a choice of filters. Yes, I could choose to be overwhelmed. I could choose to be dissatisfied. I could choose to be quite pleased. I could choose to recognize my ability, my intelligence, my just, being, an on-purpose person. Or I could choose to diminish that and say, not enough. Again, I don't know how many of you can relate to this, but this is a deliberate choice that I have to make. And the only way that I can deliberately change those filters through which I see life is by having good inputs. When we read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, that was in our book club a couple months ago, or a month, whatever it was when we finished that. We spent a week on each chapter, right? We really dug in. But when I did that, I was thinking, my goodness, this is the stuff that I've been inputting into my mind for decades now. And is it no surprise that I become more productive, more successful, happier with myself and with my experience of life than before I started putting these inputs in? Personal development is so huge because we are actually, as we just read in the second habit of highly effective people, now that we know we're the programmer, we are actually the ones writing the program. I could use some help on that, by the way. Thank you, Steve Covey, Napoleon Hill, Adrian, Alexandria, Caroline, Coyle. Thank you for offering me inputs, right? That I can then take and adopt or reject, right? It's my choice. right? But that I can, rather than just all of the other inputs that I didn't ask for, I can be deliberate and I can choose, you know what, these are some good perspectives I can go ahead and try on. I could try this on in my life, see if it's workable, right? Everything we do here in our mastermind group is about what's working now in our lives. Pointed out whatever direction we're pointing it at, right? E-commerce, you know, whatever, business, right? Parenting. What's workable? What works? So none of us here, and in fact, I just had this conversation. We had a little facilitators like staff meeting yesterday. We talked a little bit about the purpose and the reason we even show up and do all this. None of it is to assert our own rightness or self-importance or look at me, I'm the guru or something. Oh, please. No. Did you have a win? Did you have something that worked for you? Well, please share, right? Now we're masterminding. And that's what I'm here to tell you right now, is that I have got to, whether it's, a little bit of quiet time each day, right? Daily meditation, study, right? Reading books. We did yoga yesterday with Nancy. We did a little group meditation thing on Tuesday with Nicola. We've got integrative nutrition coming up today, right? Feed your body good stuff. This is your machine, right? That's part of personal development, right? Is keeping the machinery running too, right? That's good and ethical and conscious things to do. So the more you build yourself up, and the more I build myself up, the more able I am to confront with better filters the intricacies and the circumstances of life and cause something great to happen. And I will have an effect, and so will you. Whether you know it or like it or not, you will have an effect. How well are your choices between stimulus and response? How resourceful are those? Personal development. And I would tell anyone who wants to argue this, and it's probably nobody here, right? I mean, because you're in the conversation. But I would tell anyone who thinks, no, I just need nuts and bolts, man. I just need logistics, right? Give me the magic, tactical approach to the cracking the Facebook code or something. I'm like, that is secondary at best, probably tertiary. Who's doing it? That's the question. I love you guys, and I hope I made some sense. I hope I did. Personal development. What is that thing that you choose to do? And I think everyone here in this group, right? Most of us, when we first met, one of the first suggestions that I offered you is, here's a few books. Buy them. Start reading one. Start reading 2 of them. Right now, I'm into 4 books. And each one edifies me. Each one builds me up through instruction. Right? So I've heard, those who don't read are no better off than those who can't read. Well, what are you reading right now? What are you reading? Obviously, if you're on our book club, Steve Covey is one of the things you're reading right now. But the idea that you can be deliberate about your own evolution. Yes, you can accept the responsibility for that, and you can actually have an effect in your own life and therefore also in the lives of others. That's what's coming up for me today. Because the alternative, oh man, the alternative is miserable. No, I'm not willing to be a victim of my own worst thinking. I'm looking at Mark right now, and Mark and I have a great working relationship. I've never met Mark in person. In fact, most of the people here, I've never met you in person. I'd like to, right? That'll work out ultimately. But I think about Mark, right? And our relationship, right? Mark and I do business together. Mark and I have these conversations every day. I can't remember a day where Mark wasn't here, and that's just one example. Okay, but and Mark has stated openly that in some ways I've become a mentor to him, right? In other ways, he could be a mentor to me. I don't know all things about everything, right? Mark knows better stuff than me in certain areas, right? We got people here who are golfers and scientists and everything else, right? I'm not the expert. You go be the expert in that stuff. But I think in this way, and I'm using Mark as an example, right? Although I have had an effect in one man's life, right? I also need to recognize, right, that for me to be able to continue to have a positive effect, I have to continue to evolve myself. I haven't arrived. And I think that's where true personal development comes in. Self-mastery is a game you never complete, really. I mean, I suppose if you did, you'd turn into a poof of smoke and you'd be a scintillating, spirit, and you'd be enlightening people with your presence. And I don't know, I'm not there yet, right? Fish and loaves. I got no fish and loaves for you right here, right? I'm still working on it. You'll know when I've arrived because you'll see me levitating outside the window of your office. Okay. But right now, I'm just still on the path. But for me, like the guitar teacher who wants to teach the young student the guitar, but they're not that good themselves. They got to be just a little bit better than that student every time that student shows up. So keep learning, right? That's the path of self-mastery. This is not for the lighthearted. People that say personal development is, guess what? They totally missed it. Totally missed it. Real dangerous spot. So anyway, I love you guys. I hope you got something out of this. I've been talking 25 minutes. My goodness. Let's go ahead and open up the lines here. We got Nicola, who runs our group meditation. Nicola.
Hello.
How are you, my friend? Good to see you.
Good. Sorry if I'm talking a bit strange. I've had a tooth out yesterday, so I've got a false tooth.
Between that and the accent, actually, you don't have an accent. I have an accent, but yeah, no, you sound great. People love just to hear your voice. So go ahead, give us some of that Nicola voice.
I am speaking still a bit swollen, but loved that talk, John, and I just want to say thank you for sharing that, because I've been feeling the same myself and probably have for a while, but I only really started to become more aware of it when I done a big reflection exercise on last year and started to look at what kind of thoughts and habits and beliefs really weren't serving us. And that was probably the biggest one, which was self-criticism. So like you say, at the end of the day, you'll sit and look back and just beat yourself up over the head on why you haven't done what you set out to do and how you could have done more and you could have done it better and you could have. So it was just nice, refreshing, I guess, to hear that somebody else has the same thoughts as me at the end of that day. So I've made a big, that's kind of number one on my list of behaviors and habits that I want to change this year. And one of the ways I've started to look at it is it's almost like you would do with a child, like you would treat a child or talk to your inner child, which is if you want them to do something, you set them a goal, then you create some kind of schedule, and then there's a reward at the end of it. And throughout that, you encourage and you praise them. And yes, if they've gone a bit wrong or something's not gone to plan, you'll help and support them through it. But would you ever, every day at the end of the day, criticize them and beat themselves up for not doing exactly as you had planned it that day? Like, you wouldn't. So why do we do it to ourselves? That's kind of the way I've started to look at it. I think we're just far too hard on ourselves. So that bit you mentioned there is kind of catching your thoughts and what you then choose to do with them. So that kind of stimulus in between. I'm consciously trying to do that now this week. And it makes a big difference when you do catch the thought and stop yourself from criticizing and turn it into self-praise. So you might not have done at the end of the day the 10 things you had on your list, but you might have done 6 of them and done them really well. And actually, you might have ended up doing 2 other things that you didn't plan to do. And some other opportunities came along in the meantime. So you forget about those. You don't praise yourself for those. So I've started to actually, in my planner, make a list of what I have achieved, but then the extra things that weren't on the plan that I also achieved that day. And it just helps to balance it up a bit better. And then consciously have a good conversation with myself before I go to sleep that night. So that's just kind of just what's been going through my mind this week. But so far, it's so good, because you wake up the next morning feeling far more motivated to want to do a good job, as your child would, in that state, not in the, well, I had a rubbish day yesterday, so the likelihood is I'll probably have the same day again today. Like, that's just, you've got to build yourself up. So that's, so that's kind of what I'm working on this week. Hopefully it continues, because so far, so good. And I do feel like I'm actually achieving more because of that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nicola. And how appropriate that we're on habit 3, put first things first, right? So those of you who are digging in on that chapter, we're going to get into the difference between importances and urgencies. Really cool stuff. So how appropriate. We asked, the universe answered. So thank you, Nicola. Thank you for being here. And thank you for what you bring to us on Tuesdays as well. We're going to go to Ego. And then, by the way, Zoom made some application enhancements or changes. So if you're looking for the raise the hand button, it might be down below instead of on the side under reactions. Anyway, Ego, how are you?
Hi everyone. So I joined late, about 13 minutes late. So I kind of caught the second half of what you were saying, but it was still profound. So where you were talking about causes of overwhelm, right? So the instant gratification, unrealistic expectations, and what kind of came to mind as you were speaking was, back to the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where the Stephen Covey talked about control, right? So for me, I see as much as, overwhelm can happen. It can be anything. It could be, we're in another lockdown. It could be, my package is late, whatever it is, right? It's a choice we have to make. Yes, I know sometimes there's that default reaction to become overwhelmed, but the same way we make the choice to sit in a state of overwhelm, we can actually make that same choice, similar to what Nicola was saying, that those thoughts come, but then you kind of move it along. So I know the impact of overwhelm. So I would choose to kind of slide away from that into situations I can control, right? Because, in that chapter, he mentioned that where we give up control to the circumstance or the situation or the person, we are reducing our circle of influence and increasing our circle of concern, right? So for me, I consciously, since we started reading that book, I'm conscious about what I'm doing to my circle of influence and circle of concern. Circle of concern, I can't change certain things. So why do I want to stay there? Why do I want to dwell there? So I kind of move away and focus on the things that I can change. And even if I don't hit all my goals, one of the things I also do is, yes, I may not have hit all the goals that I set, but have I spent time doing something else? And I celebrate myself for doing that. So definitely not in the overwhelm count. I'm doing my best. I wouldn't say trying, to not to stay in that state of overwhelm despite what's going on around me.
Ego, while you were and Nicola were talking, I felt a bit of release. Like I was thinking about what you were just talking about, goals that you haven't reached yet. Because I think the truth is, I know it is, we reach every goal we set, right? If it's an actual goal, you're going to do it. Does anyone have any doubt that Ego is going to reach her goals? I don't, right? Now, Ego may, right? But right there, that doubt or that the idea that somehow I could be stopped or not reach a goal, right? Which is all internal dialogue, right? That's all just intention, counter-intention. That's the problem itself, right? Is the idea that my intents won't stick because I could be stopped, right? That right there, that's the problem. And so as soon as I see that my own internal barrier, it's like such a release. Think about this. So Nicola, who talked before, right? We'll sit there and we'll have an intention. We'll be quiet. We'll just get relaxed for a moment, and we may stand up after a half hour of sitting there and being quiet and just contemplating, actually our own causation and all this. Stand up as a different person, so much less encumbered by all these considerations. Maybe I can't. What if all those considerations were gone, right? Ego just published a book. Ego, I'm about a third of the way through your book. Man, awesome. Okay, but Ego just published a book. You know how much internal dialogue comes up when somebody thinks about, I'm going to write a book. What percentage of people who say they're going to write a book actually do? 1/10 of 1%. 1/10 of 1%. 1 out of 1,000. Right? What if we just got out of our own way? right? Take a deep breath, get out of your own friggin' way, right? And go be awesome. Will everyone think you're awesome? No, but that's again another consideration. Fear of criticism. Oh my goodness, what will they think? What will they think? That's the mantra of the herd. And the purpose of the herd is to keep you in the herd, right? So we got to leave the herd. We got to leave the herd. Ego's left the herd, right? Nickel has left the herd. Nickel has got a new tooth. Nickel, did you want to show off your new tooth? I'm sorry, we took the camera away from you.
It's a temporary tooth. It's not pretty.
Okay, okay, but holy crap, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm getting at least as much out of this conversation as anybody today. So thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Ego. And again, if you can't find the raise the hand button, figure it out, unmute your microphone, do something. The floor is open. The floor is open. Or you could just sit here and watch me drink coffee if you think that's even more entertaining and enlightening. Come on down. Emma, where's Emma?
Hi.
Yay.
I know I don't often speak, so I will speak tonight. But yeah, I found it a really good topic. Thank you. And I've really been enlightened by reading the 7 Habits. And like Ego was saying, very much consciously this week, just really considering the things that I'm saying and saying to other people, and very much focusing on what you can influence yourself rather than everything else that's going on around us, and people's concern. And probably for the first time, I feel like, you develop your life through your career, but I'd say since June till now, I feel like I've learned so much about so many different areas of life, people, especially through this group, but also all the other groups as well that run alongside this. But I think it also gives you then the confidence to really drive forward. And I feel like the goals that I've kind of set for this year are a lot more achievable because just because of, I don't know, everything seems to start to fit into place. And it's the first time I've really felt like it's really fitting into place. I've got the confidence to kind of drive it forward and to really move forward with those goals. And visualizing things has really helped. And that's the really big key thing that I've kind of started to focus on, is visualizing the goals and driving those. So yes, thank you. I just wanted to say as well.
Emma, thank you. So good to hear from you. That's great. Emma's here, everybody.
Yay, I've arrived.
Time for celebration. I mean, wouldn't that be awesome if every time we showed up, like we entered the room and we opened our mouth, it was like an event. It's an event. There's Dorothea Brand, Wake Up and Live. I don't know how many of you have read that book. It's definitely on our list. Okay. But one of the things that she talked about was some of this, I wouldn't say posturing, but recognition of how you're occurring, in life. And there was like some I don't know if I'm going to use the right words here, but it was like a preparedness school for young women, and learning how to be gentle folk or whatever, how to properly place the silverware. But one of the things that they were taught was to pause as you enter a room. So you're coming through the precipice of the room, you pause, and then you enter through the doorway. It's like an event. It's like Emma just showed up. She just entered the room, right? What if we considered that about ourselves each time we did anything? Like, I am about to arrive. I am about to make my entrance. It may sound a bit self-aggrandizing, but I don't know. I'd take that over self-deprecation any day, being my own worst critic. Interesting idea. Anybody else? Again, the raise the hand button could be under participants or it could be under reactions, depending on which version of Zoom you're on, because they just had to change everything. Virginia Pipitone and then Sonia. Virginia, the cookies are awesome. Virginia.
Thank you continuously for that. I just had a thought, so I was like, oh, okay, I can share this. What do you think of us creating a vision board on some kind of time frame now, and that we would bring it to maybe a Friday session or whatever session and show our vision board? I really need to update mine, and it's a lot of fun to do. It doesn't have to be big, but I've had people when I tried to share this with them, and for them, they would scribble it down on a piece of paper or they would draw something. You know what? It doesn't work the same. I mean, you really have to have those pictures that you cut out of magazines or you put the internet and post them there and put it in front of you as a reminder too of what you're focusing on. So I just was going to throw that out there, John, see what you think, if the group was receptive and maybe doing that either on a general session or on another session that it might be relevant for.
Yeah, let's do it. Right. It's personal development in action. And I'll take all the reminders I can get. In fact, your momentum that you would create in doing such a thing could sweep others who have procrastinated on doing such things into actually doing them. Right. So
I used to use a regular size poster board. I don't know what size they are abroad, but over here they're probably like 30 inches by almost 2 feet or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one I did, so I've done a couple of those in my life, got me through nursing school. The last one I did was just cut one in half, you know, so it's still pretty significant size that I could see and put pictures on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what I'm just going to go with, just like a half size poster. Again, doesn't take up a lot of room. And it's probably, in fact, if you give me 1 second, I'm so sorry. Just as a reminder, because I have my old one here tucked by my.
There it is.
It is tucked. So this is half a poster board size on there. And then it has like across the top, why Colorado will ruin you for anywhere else. And I made this a couple years before I actually could move here. And I have in here a picture of me and my grandson at the time. He must have been 3. And then in the center here, I have a picture of magazine from a man and a little girl, because I was hoping to have a granddaughter, and I have a 3-year-old granddaughter now. Anyway, there was no plans at that time. So, you know, one was of a home, one was on volunteer work. And as I mentioned before, this area remains blank. These are famous, mostly actors who have remained faithfully married to the same lady most of their life. So I'm working on that aspect for 2021. But so this was my board. And as I had mentioned before, it didn't really do much for me until I put it on the wall opposite my bed so that I could see it every morning. So no, John, it wasn't on the overhead. It could have been, but I did have it on the wall opposite my bed. So every morning and every night, that was the last thing and the first thing I saw.
Wow.
They're very potent. If you watch the movie, The Law of Attraction, the original DVD, one of the gentlemen in there, he moved several times. He had all these boxes in storage for 5 years. And then he finally was opening up one of the boxes one day. And his, 5 to 7-year-old son came in the office and said, Dad, what's in these boxes? And he goes, oh, those are my vision boards. He says, let me show you. And he pulled one out. And the house that he'd put, this beautiful multi-million-dollar home in California that he'd cut out of a magazine and posted, he looked at it. It had been in storage for 5 years. They were living in that home. They didn't just buy an equivalent home. He was actually in that home. He hadn't even realized that he'd purchased the home that he'd cut out 5 years previously and put on his vision board. It just blew him away.
I remember that story. That was John Asseroff, and that was in the movie The Secret, right?
Uh-huh.
Which by the way, the mechanics for this aren't rigid, right? So Virginia was considering, what sizes of board, whatever, right? Or you could do this, virtually, right? So but Virginia, you've got a granddaughter now, huh? And you live in Colorado, huh?
Yes,
right? So I guess that's it, right? Now, what do you want to talk about? Do it. Just do it. So in fact, I will show you. I'm going to pull the plug on my mic. Hold on a second, guys. Okay, check. Are we still live? Can I get a thumbs up from somebody?
Yeah.
Yes. Good. So this is what I look at all day, every day when I'm sitting at my desk. Okay. So since we're doing show and tell, let me make sure I got good visuals there. So when I'm sitting at my desk, this is what I'm looking at. So right there, that's a big screen, right? I could do something with that, right? That's right in my face. When I'm doing webinars and stuff, I'm typically doing slideshows on the any visual aids come up on that screen, and which is just above the camera lens, which is what you're looking through right now. And then yeah, I've got, I just hung my guitars, by the way. Look at that. I got a little extra floor space here. That's nice. So but yeah, that working environment is something that we could be very deliberate about. In my case, orderly, yes, but where's my reminders? Where's my reminders? Thank you, Virginia, for that reminder. I'm going to plug in again and see if I can go back to my normal mic. Okay, check. Are we live? Yes. Okay, good. Sonia's got the floor. Hey, Sonia.
Hey guys, happy Friday. Really appropriate topic. I've been noticing through COVID, now that I'm not in an office, without the stimuli of interacting with other people, I get down very easy. I seem to need a lot of attention to keep happy. So I've been working on, through the self-development with this group and the stuff that we've been reading, working on noticing where I am normally, vibrationally, like energetically, what emotions am I normally in, and what am I thinking at those times, so that I can start making some changes. And made a lot of changes, and then I moved here and everything kind of, shit hit the fan. But over the past 2 months, have been noticing that I spend a majority of my time in frustration and anger. Things aren't working. I'm in an area I don't enjoy, and I can't keep focusing on that, because then that keeps creating that. Those thoughts keep feeding those thoughts. So in an effort to clean that up, I did like a 7-day mental diet where I wouldn't allow myself to think anything negative. And notice that when I got high and happy and stayed happy for a solid week, I made a sale on Amazon. And then I would get out of the habit of it, and I would catch myself down and negative again. And it was like, shit, what are you doing? Go back to thinking normally, cleaning that up, exercising, because I smile ridiculously when I exercise every day. I smile while I'm doing squat jumps, John. Squat jumps. Nobody likes squat jumps. I bloody grin like a fool when I'm doing them. But I noticed again, 5 days, and like I'm just coming into this realization this weekend, 5 days high and happy made another sale. Every single time I stay happy for a solid 5 days and do that guard at my mental thoughts, I make a sale. I meet somebody nice to, bring into my group kind of thing. So it's become very important to watch, like you were saying, to keep feeding that. And I love that. What did you say? I wrote it down. Hit reset multiple times a day. Never occurred to me before. Yes, that needs to happen. Because you get caught up on a thing, you're working on a thing, you get frustrated on a thing, and then it just feeds you. And I find without that stimulus of interacting with people in the office all day or online or whatever, just without that stimulus to distract me from that, I now need to master that and master distracting myself from those thoughts. So that's what we're doing for the next couple of days. But I really thought this was really applicable, and I hope something of the verbal blabber that came out of my mouth resonates with some people. And I've got a great joke to end this on, to bring it together for this topic. Why did the man get hit by a bike every day?
I don't know.
Because he was stuck in a vicious cycle.
Ah, vicious cycle. Perfect. And how appropriate for our topic today. Thank you. When my daughter was younger, she would have little outbursts and stuff. She would be upset about something. And I would say, we need to hit the reset button. And I would hold up my finger like this. And I say, now, once we press this button, we're starting the whole day over. Okay. She would press the button. good morning, Trinity. How are you today? We're going to have fun, aren't we? Right. And still to this day, like if there's like all kinds of tension and stuff, this is what she gets. She gets the finger. And usually she'll press it, right? Sometimes she's too far gone. We got to, de-escalate or something. But anyway, thank you so much, Sonia. We got Koila and Therese. Hey, Koila.
Hi, I thought I was muted, but I wasn't, so that was a surprise. I'm back to the point of having a lot of things going on at the moment, and not all of them are going to plan. And it's going to involve me again in doing a lot of work at very short notice for probably not a lot of gain. In the political field, this is. So that's just how it is. And it's just a matter of keeping motivated, which is not easy, but I just keep plodding on and doing the stuff and, in the hopes that it will eventually get somewhere, because that's all you can do. And then I'm learning about new things in relation to work I'm now doing with the Community Development Trust. So that's a new thing to learn. And then another thing to say is I've now got a job that I like, that I find satisfying. And that is actually a bit demotivating from the point of view of everything else, because I've no longer got this continual gall that's under my wherever rubbing, that I've got to do something else to get rid of that horrible thing that I don't want to do anymore. So I'm kind of trying to not allow that to demotivate me and keep on going. And then from Virginia, Pipitone, vision board. I've got my vision board opposite my bed. It's as my wallpaper on my phone, and it's wallpaper on my computer. Can't say I've had that much success with all that many things on it so far, but some of them have worked. So that's a help, and you can't expect it all to happen overnight. But it does mean it's in lots of places that I get to see all the time. And that's all I've got to say. It's just, even when it's a struggle, you've just got to keep on keeping on.
Thank you, Koila. So you've used the digital vision board as well. So that's working.
Yeah, I've got a real vision board, and what I did was photograph that. So it's then plonked it as a photo on my. It's not that hard, really. It didn't take me a lot of extra effort at all.
Very good. Thank you. Great insights there. And so good to hear from you, Koila. I haven't heard from you in like a week, I think. So
no, it's work, and I'm going to be working tonight. I'm working nights at the moment, so this is the last time you're going to see me until probably next week sometime. It's just a matter of trying to fit things in. That's all it is.
Understood. Well, very glad you're here. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. We've got Therese and then David, and then I think we're going to be at the top of the hour. Hey, Therese.
Hello. Hi, John. Hi, everyone. Like Nicholas said, great topic. I was kind of feeling that a little bit of overwhelm, or I was allowing the feelings of overwhelm to settle in. I've had about 4 weeks, almost 5 weeks of kind of limping around. I had shin splints, and then it went into a stress fracture on my left shin. And so I've been off exercise. So for me, everything, it's like I keep things balanced with my exercise. And when that's not working, it's amazing. Like everything just sort of tumbles. So that's really tough for me. And my space is so small that I can't, I'd love to do Pilates or yoga, but I don't have the space. And our gym is, close. So there's all these little things that are in the way. But I thought it was really interesting because my body was telling me, just stop, stop. And I can do that, right? I have anxiety, and, that's where the exercise kind of came in. And with COVID and the gym closure, it forced me to be outside on the concrete and running on the concrete, which created this host of issues. But, so I was just digging in on everything, right? Trying to achieve goals, trying to, my list every day, checking things off. And then my body said, stop. And so that was really hard for me. And so I stopped. And after about a week, it was about 2 weeks of really feeling frustrated. And, you know, I'd make my list every day and I wouldn't really get anywhere. I mean, I would get the things, I guess prioritizing kind of comes into play. So I guess where I'm going with all of this is, even though you have those days where you're really overwhelmed, or those weeks where you're really overwhelmed, I think we've learned we've gained so many tools, we've grown so much. I think, quiet the mind and let the answers float to the surface, let the tools float to the surface. And I think it's important to recognize, oh, wow, yeah, you do have the tools. You've got this. You're okay. I prioritized. I didn't beat myself up. I mean, I did in the first 2 weeks for sure, but then I could see what was happening. And so, you know what? No, I haven't been getting everything done on my list, but I am prioritizing and evaluating which thing is going to get me the furthest, or which thing has got some, monetary reward. Is that going to allow me to pay this and this and that, like what's going to move me forward? So anyway, I just want to say, I mean, I watched the brand building. I finally was home and able to catch the brand building session last night. And, again, easy to feel overwhelmed. Like we've been climbing this mountain pretty consistently with some weighted packs on our back, if you will, and gaining all these new tools. And then that cracked open a whole nother mountain to climb, which I think I knew was there. I just, I hadn't gotten there yet. So I think, I just want to say thank you, John, and thank you for all the personal growth and shedding light on all these books that have really made a huge mental shift in my life. And moving me forward. And I think one more thing I would just say is, and I'm sure all of you touched on it prior to me, but be realistic about those goals every day, right? And everybody's situation is going to be different every day. So be gentle with yourself, like Nicola says, and one step at a time. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Therese. Thank you. Looking forward to integrative nutrition back on the calendar today. Beautiful stuff. All right. And we're going to wrap up with one of my favorite people on planet Earth, Mr. David Dixon. David?
Hi, John. Yes, joke for you. It's a home COVID test. 3-step process. Step 1, open a can of beer and try to smell it. Step 2, if you can smell the beer, drink it to see if you can taste it. Step 3, if you can taste it and smell it, this confirms that you don't have COVID. Last night, I did the test 19 times and all were negative. Tonight, I'm going to do the test again because this morning I woke up with a headache and feeling like I'm coming down with something.
David, thank you, sir. All right, let's give David some love. We're going to go ahead, and our hospitality suite is open. I know some of us have to run to other meetings right now, but hospitality suite's open all day. We're going to get together later today with Therese on integrative nutrition, and that is at 2:30 p.m. my time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. And then we wrap up our week here in the JL Success Mastermind at 6 p.m. Eastern, 4 o'clock here in Phoenix, on our Be Heard broadcast, which is where I listen and you talk. So there's that. I'll see you guys real soon. Make it a great day. Bye for now.